Okay, how can we make any fraction into a percent? Well, if you can make a fraction, you can make it into a decimal. Take the top number, divide it by the bottom number. So these 6 fractions would equal these decimals. And how do we take any decimal and make it into a fraction? You move it over 2 spots to the right. So 0.05 becomes 5%. This becomes 12%. Um, 2 spots, that's the reason I had the red 0 there, just kind of a placeholder to show it for you. Because in your calculator, it just comes up as 0.3. But once you move it over 2 spots, you need that placeholder there to show that it becomes 30%. This becomes 0.6 repeating, and so basically it's 66.6% repeating. This becomes 70%, and this actually becomes 140%. And that's a skill that we'll need later on with a few of these lessons. This is just kind of a hodgepodge of leftover percentage things that are important, and I'm just trying to get on one video to help you out. Markups in a business. A markup's just where a company or store is selling something for more than what they paid for it or what they invested to make it. It's the cornerstone of capitalism. You have to make money in order to stay in business. Otherwise, you're running out of money quickly. So it's not bad. It's just a way that capitalism works. Let's look at this. A pair of shoes has been marked up 35%. It cost them $15 to produce. What is the selling price of the shoes? Well, always focus on the markups first. We need to figure out what 35% of the markup is. So how much did it cost to originally make this item or to purchase it? In this case, it cost $15. So the real question is what is 35% of $15? You can take the 35%, make it into a decimal, multiply it by the total, and you would get $5.25. So what does the 525 mean? It means that $5.25 is 35% of the $15. And because it's a markup, we're going to take that 525, we're going to add it on to the original cost, which is $15, and it gets us $20.25. So here's the original cost. I'm going to write it out. We're going to take the markup, add it to it, and that becomes $20.25. This is how much it costs them to make it. This markup is pretty much their profit, and together it equals the selling price. Because when they sell it, they need to get back everything that they put to make it or buy it, and then they have to also have the profit from that as well. So it's not that difficult of a concept. Let's take a look at a company that maybe made headphones for $25 a set. They want to have a markup of 40%. The original cost to make it or purchase it was $25. So again, it's this idea is what is 40% of $25? 40% becomes 0.40 or 0.4. We take our total and multiply it by 0.40, and we get $10. So here is our markup. If they said, what's the markup? It's going to be a $10 markup. If they say, what's the selling price? We take this markup right here, this $10, and we literally add that on to $25. So now our selling price is $35. Again, if they asked us what the markup was, as soon as you figure out 40% of 25 bucks, you're done. But if they're wanting that next step of the selling price, you add it on to the cost. So that's the one type of market problem. The other type is they don't tell you the percent, and they actually want you to know the percent. So let's look at this. A sporting goods store, it cost them $20.81 to build a new skateboard. Company sells each one of those for $28.99. What's the percent markup? Well, the cost is $20.81. Selling price is $28.99. If you remember last time we said the cost plus the makeup or the markup became the selling price. So we have this part right here, and we have the cost right here. We just need to figure out the markup, and then we could work backwards to find the percent. How can we find the amount of markup? Basically, just subtract the selling price and the cost. It $8.18 difference. And then what we do is we take that difference, the $8.18, and we just put it right over the original cost, $8.18. And if you remember, I started this video, I said, how can we take any fraction and make it into a percent? You take the top number and you divide it by the bottom number. And you would get this on your calculator. 818 divided by 2081 equals 0.3930825. It's a nice long number. Thankfully, though, we know that we take the decimal and we move it over 2 spots, and that equals 39% rounded to the nearest percent. So just to run that through again, I know it went by kind of quick. If they don't give you the percent and they want the percent markup, subtract your cost from the selling price. They should give you those two things. Okay, and so once you do that, you'll figure out what the markup amount is. They're having an $8.18 markup for each skateboard. You take that markup and you put it over the original cost, and then you divide the top number, the markup number, by the cost, get you a nice decimal, slide it over 2 steps, and next thing you know, you can round to the nearest percent, 39% markup. Here's an example right here. It cost Don $10 to build a birdhouse. He sells the birdhouse for $15. Let's see. Selling price minus my cost, that means $5 markup. Okay, I want to know the percent markup. So $5 was my markup. Remember, we put our markup there and then our original cost on the bottom. Our original cost to build it was $10. 5 divided by 10 is 0.5. If we slide our decimal over 2 steps to make a decimal, that would be 50%. So the percent of markup for this birdhouse would actually be 50%. At this point, if you looked over your homework paper or class paper, you've got problems 6, 7, 8, and 9 that would mirror these 3 examples, 2 of each.